Welcome to Terror in Tandem, a podcast about finding entertainment
So serious.
in the macabre. Hosted by the knowledgeable, judgmental Richard and Laura. You can find us somewhere on Instagram, Terror in Tandem.
We're off to a great start this year.
This has been successful. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy.
You're really not going to do the
It's
intro?
been 119 plus times.
You can find us online
At terraintandem.com, at YouTube, and Instagram at Terror in Tandem. Welcome.
And give us a review.
We're knowledgeable and
Only if
lovable.
it's 5 stars and glowing.
We're very fragile. Very, very fragile.
We as in he.
Me, I is fragile.
There's lots to look forward to for 2025 in the world of horror.
Both
And
real
I
and
do
imagined.
want to say that I've been bitching on our pods about whether or not Demi Moore is going to win all the awards for The Substance. And last night, she won the Golden Globe.
Well deserved.
And she was so gracious.
And
she
you
said
could- she was
something.
ready.
She was, but she also said something that was shocking to me. She's never been nominated or won anything
I mean,
in her 45-year career.
I thought she was pretty awesome in G.I. Jane.
She was great in that. Maybe she's never won. Maybe
Yeah.
she was nominated for that. I don't know. But she's never won an award ever.
Yeah.
I mean, she was great in some of the, like, Less Than Zero.
Oh, yeah, like the early Brat Pack stuff?
Yeah. St. Elmo's Fire.
Yeah.
I mean, even as, like, a supporting actress, I can't believe she...
Climb
Even
the
an
highest mountain,
MTV Movie Award.
swim the farthest
But anyway,
sea.
well deserved. I would like to see her
Flatliners.
win the Oscar. She wasn't in that. That was Julia Roberts.
Oh, everyone else.
I would like to see her win the Oscar. I really thought horror and kind of thriller and a little sci-fi darkness was represented well.
It was
At Golden Globes.
not just in, horror categories, but actors who got their start in horror movies. Hiroyuki Sanada and Tadanao Asanobu, who won for Shogun last night.
Yeah.
That's The Ring and Ichi the Killer, respectively, right there. I mean, he wasn't Ichi; he was the slit-faced man, but still, these are guys that got started doing, Takashi Ike movies. Like,
Yeah.
this is Miike. This is amazing. It was just really cool.
And also, The Girl with the Needle was nominated for Best International Film.
There was a lot of representation. Sebastian Stan winning for A Different Man.
Mm-hmm.
That's, these are... It was the
and
most...
Trent Reznor winning
Yes.
the soundtrack for Challengers. Listen, I understand that wasn't a horror movie.
But the
and we only
soundtrack
talk
is
about horror on
banging.
this pod. But Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails, and he's going to be coming out with a new 9 Inch Nails album,
Yeah.
winning for Challengers against Hans Zimmer for Dune 2. That was amazing.
Yeah, it's
Because the Challengers soundtrack was very unique to the movie, and it was really awesome.
I haven't seen the movie, but the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I've seen
Because I
Nine
know
Inch
you've
Nails.
been listening to EDM lately, so
have.
it's very in the vibe of that.
I mean, a bit of drum and bass. I've seen Nine Inch Nails live so many times, and one of them with you.
Yeah,
which was
it's one
an
of our first
amazing
concerts
show.
together.
Yeah, they played with opening. It was their show, but Bauhaus played a set, and Peaches. It was so good. What a great day. Anyway, yeah, it was the most interesting awards show I've seen in a really long time.
And
Nikki Glaser hosting.
She was hilarious.
Like, it was cool
She
that it wasn't
was
always
hilarious.
I'm not really like that big a fan of Ricky Gervais's stand-up routine type stuff. I like his television work, but some of his, like, I don't know, it's very like mid 2000s kind of.
Yeah, I think we're kind of moving past the middle-aged white man complaining about everything stage of
We
comedy.
are? When is that happening?
I
Jesus.
think I like the middle-aged white man self-deprecation comedy, like Conan. But I just Nikki Glaser went just far enough.
Yeah. It was funny.
Yeah, she was funny. It was entertaining. It was a little boring.
I mean, it always is. It's always like a little weird, like this. Let's get together with our fancy friends and give each other awards.
So anyway, it was really interesting. Also, Night Country. Jodie Foster won for Night Country.
Yeah, I forgot. Oh,
another recommendation, another horror.
Yeah.
Like that. And she has won for horror. She won Silence of the Lambs.
This
like
was a
I want everyone, and that's what my point is. I think that quote unquote legitimate filmmakers and actors and actresses are really starting to embrace more complex horror.
Oh yeah, it used to be like the it was never, and it still isn't given like critical respect because it's always been like escapism or whatever, but now, you know, you're not wrong. Ever since like The Witch and The Babadook and movies like that have taken horror into new territory.
Yeah. And The Penguin I would assume would fit into like drama horror, but not horror.
No,
Okay.
no, that's like crime, like Soprano shit.
Oh yeah, because crime isn't horrible at all.
Yeah, but come on.
I know.
Yeah, everything is horror.
Yeah, it is.
I guess I agree. I mean, I go through life screaming internally and externally, and I've been asked to stop.
Anyway, we're watching and paying attention, and it was really exciting.
It was awesome
to see some legit horror represented and also people winning.
And it's just nice to see Michelle Yeoh showing up at fancy award shows because she is a queen.
And
always has
Shogun
been.
like swept most of their categories, which is really great for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the same old boring, everybody's winning for the same show.
I didn't know anything about Emilia Perez before the award show, and now I'm like kind of intrigued by it.
I know. Because I gave you a...
Yeah.
And the actress that played Emilia Perez, her speech was great.
Yeah. She
was basically like, we're not going away. You can kill us and jail us.
Please don't.
Yeah. So I think it's really... I'm much more interested in a musical like Emilia Perez versus Wicked. I think there's a place for both of them, but I'm just not a musical fan per se.
So you've said.
Yeah.
You did see Wicked on Broadway, though.
I did.
Yeah.
And that was fun. I'll go to like live stuff.
Yeah.
Seated events.
Did you see it with
Taryn?
With Kristen Chenoweth?
No.
Oh, that would have been cool.
No, I saw it with Taryn.
No, I know that. Yeah. Hi, Taryn.
Hi, Taryn.
Anyway, let's get to this episode. And what this episode is this is January.
Recommendations, coming attractions.
We are completing the first quarter of the 21st century, folks. And boy, oh boy, what a nonstop bag of good vibes it's been.
Because nothing really bad is going to happen in January.
I mean, we started with Y2K and 9/11, got through Bush, Tea Party. There was a brief period where things sort of settled, and now, fun. Just fun all the time. Everybody's cool to each other. And
so why not distract
all of our
yourself
conversations
with fiction?
Are normal. Yes.
Fictional horror.
I guarantee everything we talk about today is less terrible than what you're going through now. So,
yay, enjoy.
Yeah.
Here's a at least 6 weeks, 6 things to distract yourself.
Leaning hard into the escapism, folks. Let's do
Why
it.
don't you start?
I'm going to. Now, I'm going to lead it off with January is typically a kind of a slow month. It's considered like a dumping ground, but
it
is? Yeah.
Like in the world of horror?
In the world of all media, really.
Oh, okay. It's like we couldn't squeeze this out last year, so we're squeezing it out now.
And while that is sometimes still the case, I think with the nature of streaming releases and smaller productions, that's changed. Things are released all year round now because I've got some really great recommendations this month.
But this is just for movies, correct? When you say that, it's just for movies.
I just said
it doesn't
all
apply.
media. No,
oh, really?
Yeah,
it applies to books and TV shows?
It's sort of known for it's a quiet time. It's after the holiday. It's a good time to quietly release things that maybe you're not so confident about, instead of spending a ton of money on a marketing campaign for them.
Right.
Yeah, it's just not, it's saying traditionally in the past it has been known as that, and now that seems to be changing because some of the recommendations I have are great. That's the
Scary
point.
beans, man.
So, my first one is a film called The Damned. This is coming to theaters on on January 3rd from first-time feature director Thorder
Oh boy.
Torder
Should've
Paulson.
practiced that.
Yeah, he's Icelandic and, whatever. So, an Icelandic director. He wrote and is directing it, but he also had a help because it is in English, this movie. Takes place in basically, so a woman named Ava, played by Odessa Young. She's a young widow who lives in a fishing outpost in Iceland. And she inherits the leadership role from her husband. And she's trying to lead this like desolate, tiny fishing village that's about to die, through a harsh Icelandic winter. So with diminishing resources, one day they see a ship off the coast, run aground and start sinking, and people crying for help. And they say, "What do we do?" And Ava says, "Nothing. We can't afford to help them." So they watch them die, or I think they actually go out there and maybe closely watch. I don't know. So anyway, they don't help. And then they are haunted by a vengeful presence because the bodies wash up and,
Yeah.
people start to feel really guilty and it's kind of fucked up. And so it really reminds me of The Fog.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same premise as The Fog.
Something sinister rolls in.
Yeah, like in that movie, I think what they did in the olden days was they misdirected people with the lighthouse so they could steal the stuff after they crashed.
Yeah.
And this has been getting rave reviews since it's been playing some festivals. It was shot on location in Iceland, and it looks, just like
Very cold.
Yes, in that wonderful subgenre of frigid horror, like
Yeah.
The Lodge or The Thing.
Perfect thing to watch in.
Yes, in the depths
January.
of January. I mean, right now it is freezing. It's like in single digits where we are. So it's a good time for that. I'm really looking forward to this. I love a good, folk horror, curse, vengeance, but also the murky gray area of like survival and losing your humanity. And
Awesome.
The thing about curses, as we talked about in our now classic cursed episodes, cursed objects, is they tend to have a wide they're not discriminating. You put a curse on a village and everyone gets swept up in it, whether or not they were complicit. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
So I love that shit.
Well, cursed objects. We should do an episode on curses.
On curses overall?
Yeah.
I mean, I love curses. So The Damned, not to be confused with one of my favorite punk groups.
My first recommendation is a book. It's called A Sea of Unspoken Things, and it's by Adrian Young. And this is probably pushing the line of thriller horror, but no matter.
It's okay.
It's coming out January 7th. Adrian Young wrote The Unmaking of June Farrow, so you might know her from that. She also is known for the Sky and Sea books. And this time she's writing about a woman who is investigating the death of her twin, and strange things start to happen during this investigation to her, where she feels kind of a deeper connection to her twin brother, and it kind of leads her down an interesting path that is kind of a self-reflective path, but things start to go kind of wrong. So without reading the entire book jacket, that's kind of the general sense. It seems like it's going to be she writes kind of fables, fairy tales, fantasy type books. So I think this will probably have some mystical realism in it and a little bit of darkness. And
I love that. I like the blending,
Yeah, her twin was it was pretty tragic death, unsolved, I believe. So
Eaten in utero.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I always like boy-girl twin relationships. I think it's kind of an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
So
Seeing your mirror, but
Yeah.
gender swapped.
exactly.
It's cool.
So just a quick recommendation: A Sea of Unspoken Things.
Ah, it's a cool title.
Yeah.
I'm also, next one is a book for me, recommending. Next. I am going with At Dark I Become Loathsome, from writer
you
Eric
sure do.
LaRocca. Well, I would argue I'm not that great during the day. So Eric LaRocca is, I'm going to level with you, not someone I've read before, but I have heard of him. Heard of them, excuse me. They go by he, they pronouns and are a very, very well-regarded up-and-coming horror author, described as, one of like the, current masters of horror. So Eric LaRocca writes extreme horror, and I really, really want to emphasize that as I recommend this, that this is a very particular kind of book for a particular kind of horror fan. If you're a more casual enjoyer, maybe steer clear of this one.
Yeah, maybe read the book I just recommended.
Yeah. So Eric LaRocca is this book. Excuse me. This book is about Ashley, who basically hates being alive but doesn't want to kill himself. He's recently widowed, lost his wife and child, and he puts out sort of an inquiry on the internet looking for people that feel the same way, because he's developed some sort of ritual that he says will help. So basically, he meets someone named Jinx, and they engage in, this is a theme that LaRocca has visited in previous work. They engage in like a really sadomasochistic back and forth, like depravity cycle with each other.
Online or in real life?
I think in both. Now, LaRocca wrote the kind of viral sensation, Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, which was about an online circle of abuse where people were like goading each other to do more and more extreme things to themselves. So it's a theme that they've explored before. Now, this is trigger warning again. It's suicidal ideation and animal cruelty and sexual abuse and torture and all that stuff. So, if
Very
you like to push
dark.
the envelope, I don't, honestly, at this stage in my life, I'm not as much into that anymore. As a younger man, I did like to read and watch more graphic and extreme stuff. And I think that's kind of typical of, I can only speak to a young male experience, but you want to find out where your boundaries are. So you push them. And, now I think I'm a little bit more settled into my tastes. Not that I don't like to experiment or explore, but I'm not as drawn to the splattery extreme stuff unless it is very purposeful in service of a specific narrative. And
Yeah, unless it's a Cronenberg.
it has to be, very, well, not even Cronenberg. It's not so much the gross goo. It's really the cruelty. That's the aspect of it that I struggle with. Something that is nihilistic or cruel, that's not of much interest to me. I think once you turn off your sense of morality or boundaries, then you can do anything. There's not really any challenge to it. You're not pushing anything. There's nothing to push. You've eliminated all constraints. You don't believe in anything. So I don't see why I should be shocked by any of it. I also don't see why I should care if you don't. So I know also I'm in my 40s. Like, I'm well aware of how fucking cruel people are to each other and themselves. So when I was younger, that was more fascinating to me. Anyway, I may not read this one, but I do want to recommend it because Eric LaRocca is, like I said, very, very highly regarded. This is, there's queer representation in their work. So I do want to recommend this. Paul Tremblay loves their books. So there must be something to Eric LaRocca's writing, and maybe someday I will be brave enough to read it, but I don't know.
Yeah. Paul Tremblay can get kind of dark.
It's
nihilistic.
It's not darkness. I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence these days about people torturing each other because
You're on the fence. Like, it's okay to be like you're against that.
no, obviously, yeah.
I'm kind of.
I'm thinking about voting Republicans, waterboarding. But no, I just, like, in terms of my entertainment intake, I'm less interested these days in, like, look at how mean we can be. I'm like, it's not a surprise. I get it.
Yeah. Interesting.
That being said, Audition is like one of the best movies ever made, and Martyrs. So, whatever. I'm tricky.
You are. You can't be pinned down.
Can't be. Not even in a butterfly in a torture den.
Should we take a quick break?
I think we should. Wait, from me? Another Saturday night, and here you are again, stuck alone at home watching your little Antichrist. You've tried every babysitter in town, and you would know, because you've had to bury most of them in the woods behind your house. But just because you had that one little fling with Satan in college, that doesn't mean you don't also deserve a night to yourself every once in a blood-red moon. Why not call Bad Seed Babysitting Service and let us mind your little monster for a night? Our team of demon wranglers and Munchausen mommies have a combined pool of experience that is literally older than most gods known to modern man. From demon spawn to sociopaths to future United States senators, there's no bad seed we're not equipped to handle. Every mommy's monster minder from Bad Seed comes fully certified and licensed by, well, no one really, but what other options do you have? All of our minders are bite-proof, immune to all poisons and caustic discharge, and warded against spells both demonic and divine. Give yourself a break. Call Bad Seed Babysitting Service, because even the mother of infernal prophecy needs some me time. This is a fake ad for a fake product on a horror-themed podcast. We do not condone nor endorse the wholesale slaughter of babysitters. And we're back together.
Yeah, we are.
After a break.
So my next recommendation is another book. It's called Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix.
Man, I feel like without saying Grady Hendrix, if you just read the title, I can kind of guess.
And the covers.
Sure.
And the themes.
Very particular style.
Yeah. And this comes out January 14th. Now, I am not a avid Grady Hendrix reader. I have found some of his books a little challenging in that he writes primarily about female characters and doesn't.
Am I right, guys?
I've found some of it falls a little flat for me. No matter, he's a pretty successful genre writer, and he has a new book coming out, and I think this one sounds really interesting because it's about witches. So it's set in Florida in the 70s, and it's basically about young unwed mothers. They call these girls back then, and probably now, wayward girls or girls that get pregnant early. So they're sent to the
Ladies
Wellwood
of
home.
ill repute?
Yeah. They're sent to the Wellwood home in
Low
St.
moral
Augustine,
character.
Florida. They're hidden by their families to have their babies in secret and to give them up for adoption. And then most importantly, to pretend it never happened. So our main character is Fern, and she's 15. She gets to the home and she's very much alone. And so, for example, Fern is a character, Rose, Zinnia, Holly. Those are the characters of the book. So very floral themed names. Anyway, they all have their own quirky characteristics, but Fern encounters a strange librarian in town, and the librarian gives her a book on witchcraft. So she takes it back to the Wellwood home and essentially starts to create a coven.
Nice.
So I think
Thanks, librarians.
going to be, Grady Hendrix writes this kind of tongue-in-cheek horror, kind of like comedy, not really funny, but
It seems like the cherry flavored Diet Coke of horror books.
Yeah. So I think it'll be fun and interesting, and it sounds like a really great premise. So check it out. It comes out January 14th.
Oh my God, your face is so sad.
Witchcraft for Wayward Girls.
Just drooping.
It's not. I
agony.
have a huge smile on my face. Stop.
Wow, that was tough to get through.
No, it was easy to get through. Just like
So,
Grady Hendrix books.
I am my last one is the biggest release, and boy, oh boy, has this had a long and winding road to get to the screen. I'm talking The Wolfman.
Whoa.
Coming in January 17th from writer and director Lee Whannell, who is a favorite for good reason. Now, Melbourne-born Lee Whannell was, he wrote and acted in the original Saw and has been like a writer-producer. Melbourne-born. G'day. He's also responsible for Insidious, and as a director and writer, some of my very favorite recent genre movies, Upgrade, which was such a blast.
You love that movie.
Upgrade is amazing. And Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss, which was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. We both love that movie.
So much like Invisible Man, this is another Universal Monsters revival, based on the 1941 Wolfman with Lon Chaney as Larry Talbot. This began its life back in the days of the now aborted Dark Universe, which, if you don't know, real quick, back when Marvel was really taking off, everyone wanted to make a universe out of their movies. And, we've gotten wonderful creative things like Madam Web and Venom 3 out of stuff like that. But one of the universes that was my favorite and never quite made it was the Dark Universe. Now, this was a whole series of movies that was cast and announced, and they even released a group photo of all of the people in their characters. And it was going to be Angelina Jolie and Johnny Depp and Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise and Javier Bardem and all this shit. And then The Mummy came out and it bombed and no one wanted to do it. So that was the Dark Universe. But over the years, they've been...
Wait, the way back Mummy? With Tom Cruise?
Yeah, that was supposed to be the one that kicked it off. And Russell Crowe is going to be like the central character, like the Nick Fury of... It's just... Look, Hollywood is run by Wall Street now, which means that one thing is successful, you just go slap our name on it. So they wanted a universe, and now it's a multiverse, and a year from now it'll be some other dumb fucking thing. But anyway, since then they've been, these scripts have been undergoing rewrites and changes and coming out, like Renfield and Last Voyage of the Demeter. These are all from that era. So Wolfman began its life, it was going to be Ryan Gosling. And for a very, very long time, it was supposed to be Ryan Gosling up until the writer's strike forced some delays and Gosling had to drop out, replaced by Christopher Abbott. So that's the long tail of the Wolfman. Anyway, Julia Garner and Christopher Abbott star as, husband and wife, and they're traveling from San Francisco to Oregon with their daughter to inherit his childhood home. So his father that he hasn't talked to mysteriously vanished and is probably dead. So anyway, they get there. There's a full moon. They get attacked. He gets bitten, and it's sort of like a siege movie in their house. There's a wolf outside, but now there's one inside too.
Yeah.
A wolf inside. So yeah, listen, there are some things about this movie that, people are questioning. Like, it was supposed to come out around Halloween and now it's coming out in the depths of January.
It's like
there was a premature release of the Wolfman design that Lee Whannell, there was a lot of backlash against, and Lee Whannell came out and said that's not what it looks like. And it's kind of weird why the marketing department would do that. So I don't know what's going on there. I love Lee Whannell's work. I'm going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, not talk shit about a movie I haven't seen yet. So I am looking forward to this. I really want it to work. I hope it's great. Invisible Man kind of came out of nowhere and it surprised everybody.
Yeah.
I think he is an extremely talented filmmaker. Everybody in this movie is great. And Ryan Gosling is still the producer, so don't worry. He's okay, everyone. He's going to be fine. There hasn't been a lot of buzz. It's been kind of quiet. So we'll see. It's very much, we're going to see how this one works out. A quick note to Upgrade fans like me. There's a sequel being developed as a TV series by Lee Whannell and Jason Blum. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Love the Blumhouse.
Speaking of which, back to my last recommendation, the At Dark I Become Loathsome, that has also been optioned by Norman Reedus of
Whoa.
Walking Dead fame. So I'm not sure if it's for him to like produce or something, or if he's going to be in it, but it's, yeah, that's going to maybe get made
Awesome.
into something yucky.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wolfman. Meow.
So my last recommendation, and it's
That was a
interesting
wolf.
as I tried to ignore it.
Meow.
It's interesting because of how you started this episode saying that this is kind of the forgotten month.
Dumpsters.
So Presents, a film by Steven Soderbergh.
I'm looking forward to this.
There's not much known about it, and there's a lot of weird, conflicting, and secretive information around this movie. I thought it was a TV show at first, but I think it's a film.
It is.
It is a film. It's coming out January 24th in theaters and Apple TV. Again, a little confusing. If you go on Apple TV, there is no release date. It just says coming soon. But diving into some other media like sources, I kind of came up with January 24th on IMDb.
Let's do it.
Vanity Fair or Variety published the release date as January 17th, but I couldn't find any confirmation of that. So I believe this is coming out in January.
Tim Cook, I know you're listening. Return our fucking calls.
It's starring Lucy
And get
Liu.
rid of Siri. It's the worst.
Starring Lucy Liu, starring Chris Sullivan from, This
Stuff.
Is Us.
Ah, yeah.
And the This Is Us podcast. And Julia Fox,
Nice.
ex-Kanye fan. Steven Soderbergh hasn't really been directing much. His
Yeah.
last few films were 2022's Kimmy, 2023 Magic Mike's Last Dance, of which he directed the original Magic Mike,
Yeah.
and two miniseries, Command Z and Full Circle, both
He's
from 2023.
Been really busy. I mean, Soderbergh
He
is
produces a lot.
he's such an interesting filmmaker and I personally only really enjoy his like this kind of movie from him, like his weirder stuff, like
Kimmy
Kafka,
was
or
good.
Sex, Lies, and Well, Kimmy is a smaller scale thing, like
Yeah.
Sex, Lies, and Videotape. When he's being experimental, and I'm not as big a fan of the Ocean's movies. I didn't think they were that great.
Lucky Logan. was
Logan
good.
Lucky, yeah.
So that was, I did like Behind the Candelabra. It was very grand, but I did like it. I am a fan of the Ocean's movies and, Aaron Brockovich and his vibe then.
I thought the only good thing about the Ocean's movies was Don Cheadle's spot-on accent.
I mean, I really enjoyed those. They're fun.
Oh, I'm
Anyway,
sorry, spot-on.
he also has that spy thriller Black Bag with
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender
I saw that.
coming out
Yeah, it's like
later this year.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but for grown-ups.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's at all light. I think it's just very serious.
I said for grown-ups.
So anyway, Presents. It again, the plot is under wraps, but it seems that there's a malevolent presence in a home occupied by Lucy Liu and her family.
Lucy Liu.
And it is more obsessed with their teenage daughter. And it's sort of kind of, if you watch the trailers and some stills, it has the vibe of like somebody's always watching.
Yeah.
And we see a lot from this Presence view. So that's interesting. I don't know. It's coming out at the end of January, I think.
I'm looking forward to this one. I like I said, I like when Soderbergh is being cheeky, when he's like doing
It's
something
been
weird and
teased for almost a year and a half.
Did he shoot this one on iPhone like he did with Unsane?
No.
Okay. But 28 years later, he got shot on an iPhone. It's crazy. Making movies on phones.
Yeah, so check that out. I mean, again, this is sort of probably should have come out sooner. Don't know why they were delayed a month. I'm doing my best to be excited about some new things in January for all of you.
And I can feel it.
You are interested in the Steven Soderbergh, so
So
there
am
you
I.
go.
Me too.
I said you.
And well, in addition to me, I'm also interested.
So you have some things, everyone. Listen, Are they going to be the best?
Mine are.
We don't know.
The Damned.
That's why we recommend them, and then we read and watch them, and then we report back.
I am looking forward to my recommendations because I'm an authentic, keeping it real kind of guy who would never lie to you.
I will say in the month of January, I'll be catching up on things I didn't get to.
Backlog. Oh, by the way, speaking of catching up, we just completed Squid Game Season 2.
Yeah. I know some people are like, it's not as good as the first, but
some people are
pieces
disagree.
of shit. Well, they're just an opinion.
Everybody
That's just a differing opinion, and that's
who
fine.
has an opinion that isn't mine can keep it to themselves.
They can start their own podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But we
start your
thoroughly
own
enjoyed it.
intergalactically
I
renowned.
found it to be so much like a step up from season 1. It's a good progression, and I'm very excited for season 3, which is going to come out before the end of the year.
Can I just before we leave, I do, just because I want to say this into a microphone. I'm sad about Olivia Hussey.
Yeah.
She just left us at 73. Olivia Hussey was the original final girl.
In Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, yeah. I mean, she was in the 1990 version of It. She was my first crush, like when I was very young and first figuring out what that was. But just like, what a classy, fantastic actor she always was. And, I didn't know 73. It's like not that old.
No.
It's sad. Anyway, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Well, that sucked.
Yeah. Way to end a already sort of challenging episode.
I don't want to end it that way.
Well, you did, though.
Yeah, but you should do something else. Fix it.
Well, listen, this is a great time to bust out those puzzles.
Yeah. Oh, we have been doing that.
Read some back books that you haven't gotten to.
Fall backwards into the kitchen window and shatter the pane.
Catch up on some series that came out,
I
during
did that.
busier months.
I did that.
And, just hunker down and stay warm or stay cool wherever you're listening to this, and stay safe. And we love you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you for fixing it. Terror in Tandem is written, produced, and recorded by Laura and Richard Mathiasen, and edited and mixed by Richard Mathiasen. Our theme was written and performed by Carrie Denver, and all other music was written and performed by David Suspanic. All opinions expressed on this podcast are our own and should be taken as such. Thanks for listening, and please remember to give us a like, a review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. We're standing right behind you.